Hey everybody, welcome back to This Sucks. And now we're almost to 2 years to the day that I was first diagnosed with cancer. That day comes and I still don't hear anything, and it's now been, I think, 2 weeks, maybe even almost 3 weeks since the biopsy. And I'm like, this is taking a little while. Send a message over to my oncologist going, hey, just checking in. Have you heard anything about the test results? And so that was the day, 2 years to the day, that I'd originally been diagnosed with cancer. I don't hear back from him until the next day. And he goes, I am so sorry. The results got sent to the doctor who did the biopsy, and they didn't get sent to me. They've actually been back for a while, and I'm really sorry to tell you, but your cancer is back. And like at that point, like I actually had this bulge on my neck. I mean, it wasn't this big, but I mean, it was noticeable and it hurt. And I wasn't super surprised, but as you can imagine, I was, I think, about almost 6 months pregnant at that time, and I was really scared. Because what did that mean for the baby? What could be done? Because all of the things that were needed to be done included injecting me with things that would not be safe for my baby. And so we took it a step at a time. He kind of did the same thing. He talked with all of these really smart people, who the different surgeons and radiologists, and trying to come up with a plan. And as we waited, at one point they kind of decided, they're like, well, let's talk to your OBGYN, which is like my baby doctor. And they're like, let's see, is there any way that maybe they'd be willing to deliver the baby early? Because we want to be able to get you in, get treatment started as soon as possible. And I was like, well, ask. And so they'd already come up with a plan that regardless, my baby was going to be born early. Not super, super early, but as early as it was safe to do so. Cool. And we were just gonna wait. And another week or so passed, and this thing on my neck just kept getting feeling like it was getting bigger and bigger, and it hurt. And I wasn't comfortable, not only because my belly's growing, but because of this thing. And so I called my oncologist back and I said, hey, I know we can't do all of these other things, but one of the things that you mentioned, I said, that where it's located, it was located close to a really serious artery. And their concern was that if we waited too long to do surgery, possibly until the baby was born, that it could have gotten so big that it would wrap around that artery, and then we wouldn't be able to do surgery, which is also a scary thought. So I was like, is there anything stopping us from doing surgery before the baby is born? Just to get it out of there, so that it doesn't even have a chance to spread anymore, hopefully, and then do the further tests that we need and all that kind of stuff. Once the baby is born, start treatment, all of that. And he goes, that sounds like a great idea. Let me talk to some people. And that's what we did. So at 30 weeks pregnant, for those of you who are not familiar, a general pregnancy lasts about 40 weeks. That's about 9 months. So at 30 weeks pregnant, I got to go and have surgery again on this part of my neck. And it ended up being a lymph node that was inside of a gland called the parotid gland. And that's one of the glands that's in your body that actually helps create saliva and that kind of stuff. So removed that. There was a couple other little lymph nodes hanging around, and it was the same surgeon who did my previous surgery. So she's just taking them out. We already knew that there was cancer in that lymph node, but she didn't find it anywhere else, which was good. So now I'm recovering from surgery, and 30 weeks pregnant, keep going. And once the surgery was over, as I went back for my regular checkups with my baby doctor, my blood pressure started going. Yay. And that can be a problem when you're pregnant. It's, as you go, if your blood pressure gets too high, it can cause complications not only for the baby, but for the mother. And so by 35 weeks, so I have 5 weeks to go, and I think actually only 2 weeks to go before the planned delivery date that we'd all agreed on. I go in and my blood pressure just will not come down. And they're like, we we need to have this baby now. It's potentially not safe for you to be pregnant any longer, and it's not safe for the baby. So I went in just for, like, they were literally, I was there just to sit there and have them take my blood pressure. And because it wouldn't come down, I didn't leave. I had to call POG Dad and say, hey, honey, we're having a baby. And we did. And she was amazing, and she was healthy. And she didn't even, like, if she would have been born like 5 hours earlier, she would have had to spend at least 24 hours in the neonatal intensive care unit just because she was born that early. But she missed that, like, cutoff by, like, hours. Probably more than 5 hours, but it was like a day. So she missed that, and she was breathing on her own. She was able to keep her temperature up. Everything was as amazing as it could be considering the circumstances. And when I went in and they, admitted me to be like, well, we're having the baby now, I immediately messaged my oncologist going, guess what? The baby's coming, and, just so you know. So he now knew this, so he went ahead and put an order in for an MRI of my brain. And an MRI is another scan that does this to you when you get in. It's really loud. They have to give you earplugs. It's another tube that you have to go into. So the day after I had a baby, I had to go and have this scan done, luckily in the same hospital. And then within 2 weeks after that, I was starting cancer treatment again. And I did that for a year. Different, still immunotherapy, but a different drug. And so we knew it would only be for the year. And things were looking great. As you guys know, I posted that video last June that I had my last treatment. And I was so excited. I didn't have as many negative side effects as I did the first round, but it still wasn't fantastic. I still had some stomach issues. I ended up getting dry mouth, and that still persisted. Might have to do with kind of that partial gland removal thing. So that's why I'm drinking water all the time, because my mouth doesn't create as much spit as it used to, essentially. So all of those things were great. Treatment was done. We're in the clear. As always, we were going to continue to, keep an eye out. I go in, I get blood work, I get scanned. So I had another scan right at the end of treatment, like right in July. Everything looked great. And then I went back for another PET scan in December. And when the results came back, it showed, remember I was talking about how the stuff they inject you can like basically attach to the cancer cells. It's like drawn to it and it glows on the scan. Well, that's what happened. And it was on one of my right femur, my right leg bone, and my pelvis in a couple different spots. But the scan wasn't able to show enough detail to really determine whether this meant cancer, whether this meant that maybe at that time I kind of tweaked, like either slept wrong or maybe I tripped and I kind of tweaked something. And so I was having some like pain down in like my lower back and my hip and my pelvis. And so we weren't sure if it was just maybe showing some strain from that or not. And so then I had to schedule an MRI, which we were also just talking about, of my pelvis so they could get a much better view of what was going on down there. And that is the results that we just got back, that my doctor is talking to a bunch of other doctors about. And so on that scan, it did show the likelihood that the cancer has spread there and spread to the bones. And that's scary because I don't know what that means. I've held off on Googling because Google's bad, at least when you're looking for health-related things. But, I have some general knowledge of things, and I did go on like an actual cancer website, and I started to kind of scan through like what treatment and stuff could be involved. And I got to a point and I was like, nope, I can't do it. I can't look at it. I haven't even talked to my doctor yet. I know it's not good. Okay, that's where we're at. It's not good. And now we just wait. And I think that's one of the hardest things for anyone with cancer is waiting. It's you're constantly in limbo because you just don't know. And so there's that. And then I also have now a new lump on the other side of my neck on the same spot where the other one hit. So I also had a scan for that yesterday. So I'm hoping maybe he got results and was able to bring that as well. So, story time with POGMom. Not exactly a fairy tale, but I think it's important to share those things and keep a good perspective about people's journey, especially when they're going through chronic disease and things like that, that it's not a short journey. It's traumatizing for not just the person, but for the family that is part of it. I flinch anytime the phone rings, even when there's no like test results or anything that I'm waiting for, but especially when there's test results and things I'm waiting for. My heart rate starts to go and it ends up being like, oh, it's my mom calling. Like, it seems silly, but all of these things are very real. And all we can do is be there for each other and be honest with ourselves and our loved ones and push through. So it's not the end. Story time with POGMom is not over at all. But we're moving on to a new chapter, and I think it's going to be a bit scary. So buckle up, and I'm gonna do this. I appreciate you guys. I know most of you probably didn't get through this whole video. It's way longer than I thought it was going to be, but I can be long-winded. So thank you, and we will see you next time. I'm assuming the next video is going to have some updates about what my doctor had to say. So we'll be doing that, but I've started to make a list of other things that I want to talk about and share. And so far, this has definitely helped me feel a little bit more grounded and not happier, but less stressed about it. Like, obviously I'm stressed, but it's a great way to share. And all of your guys' comments and the love that you're sending and the positive thoughts and the prayers are so appreciated. So thank you. Have a wonderful day, night, morning, whatever it is for you. And we will talk to you very